Is it working? Alright, there I am. Let's see. And we're back with BTA 3062 Tanks Edition. Yeah, there's a screen. I was waiting for it to pop up. Making sure everything's all running nice and tanky. But it looks like it's running good. So let us load our career up. On Wheels Career. We're still pretty early into it. Tanks a lot. Delicious cold water. It's the only way to survive. It's so warm. It doesn't help that my house is a heat trap, so that sucks. Oh my gosh. Let us turn on some stuff. We will turn on name in the game, death from above. I'll try. I can't make any promises because I don't remember if any of my mechs have that. So let's go back. All right. By tanky, do we mean having hunchbacks without legs and on tank treads instead? No, actual tanks, like hover tanks, tanks, shooty tanks, root 'em toot 'em go 'em tanks, run over crunchies tanks. Just the normal ones. We've done a lot of different runs. This is probably like my 5th or 6th, I think, BTA run on stream. We've gone all the way up to like the clans. We've done Steiner. We've done Van Sant Lost Militia. This is our second tank run because the first one I actually lost a stream because of dumb stuff. I lost a save, so we weren't that far into it though. But I'm still kind of upset because I lost some good stuff. Yeah, bringing 2 LRM carriers. I like bringing 4 LRM2 Mark IIs with all the good stuff. With Apollo and all that fun stuff. Yeah. I don't mind lost saves in BattleTech because I have done so many different runs. It's not a bad thing to lose a save, in my opinion. You lose some time, but really it's like I've gotten to the point where like I could lose my entire stable of mechs and I still had more than enough money to buy. I still had 200 million C-bills left over. And I was like, well, I can just buy a bunch of new mechs. I'm set for a while. So at some point, your story ends in BattleTech. And that's okay. That's one of the great things about BattleTech is that your story doesn't have to end in a good place. And that's what kind of makes it fun. And just having different modes and challenges. Like one run we tried to do all urban mechs, and I started off the game with 6 or 7 urban mechs, but they all blew up, and by the end of it I only had 1 urban mech because nothing else was working. So the way I see it is it's just time to start a new one and just crank up the different difficulties, and sometimes I like doing it where you get easy drop loot and stuff like that, and other times I like it to where it's tough, where you have to scrounge, and so you start off with a bare naked mech with no engine or anything like that after you've repaired it, and you have to put whatever you have available into it, and that makes the game a lot more interesting. It allows you to try a lot of things that you normally just wouldn't try, and that really, I think, gives a lot of longevity to the game. Who's this? Free Worlds League. We'll do it for some money. I don't even remember what I have here. Pegasus. Bring Axel. No, Axel. No.
Why are you?
Axel. There we go. Okay. Okay, I actually have more tank slots than I have tank pilots. Let's see if we can remedy that. Can I hire any tankers? No, no. Oh, I can hire a beefeater. That's actually. Oh no, I can't. Okay. All right. Well, habitable pods. Let's do that. We need more crew members then. Anyway, dug in deep. Blackout. Let's do it for the money. And Pegasus and Axel. Let's see. Aloe's in there. He's running the ukulele. 7 Blue 7's in there. Shocker. So we have one person available for a name in the game if one person is interested in. They are going to be a mech pilot / battle armor pilot, because I'm trying to limit the amount of mechs to like secondary, like light mechs at most. So okay, Zyxis will get there, and Digiman, we will get your name in there as well at some point. So don't worry. Maybe I'll name one of the mechs after you or something. They explode pretty regularly. Blackout. Anything can happen on a blackout. You could even get a blackout. Nice. What do we got over here? Oh, yeah. Water, man. It's a lifesaver. Diggy gets the mech after he mops out what's inside of it. You're not wrong. There is a lot of mopping involved with mech salvage. Establish the sit rep. You know, there's also 2 expansions. One for MechWarrior 5 The Clans I haven't played, which is the Ghost Bear expansion, but also Shadows of Kerensky's coming out. I haven't played that either, so after this run, I'll probably jump over to the Clans first, and then maybe Shadows second. I don't know. I really... I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, Shadows of Kerensky. That's soon. Soon. How do you feel about Clan Burrock? Never heard of them. So, how do I feel about isopods? What kind of isopods? Like the isopods that are bugs, like in your backyard, or like sea isopods that live in your schmagegi? I hear stuff moving. I don't like it. I've just started, so we haven't determined. I mean, aquatic crustaceans. Alright. So, Scorpion. Can you get over here and see what's going on? No. Alright, how about you? Aloe. Get in there! Can you see him? Up, up, and away! No, can't see nothing there. Alright. These guys. The galleon will go down over yonder. Get in the target zone! Hup! Who else? We got another... Yeah, we got another hover boy. Shazbot. Alright, good. He'll be able to get in there. That's why I love you, super tanks. A lance of max. We were told to expect minor resistance. Shazbot lance engage. Looks like into a full assault, Commander. Thanks for the sit rep, you jerks. Oh. Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright. Done. Now it's their turn. Oh no. Don't DFA. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What is going on? Get in there. Shoot with your against that 8 evasion. Actually, 24% wasn't hurt. You haven't heard Shazbot in a while? Yeah, I have a tendency to remember odd phrasings and stuff, and it sticks with my head, so... Oh mein Gott. That hurts me bad. Just brace, buddy. Just brace. Force them to move. No, not that sniper turret. I am truly the avatar of... So, I remember playing Star Siege Tribe back in the day. Man, it was so good. Literally one of my favorites. Woo, both hit. Tribes too. Just tribes. My favorite were all the mods for tribes. So one of my screen names for playing tribes back then was Crazed Medic, and I never actually healed anybody, but it never failed. Someone thought I was because they read my name, and so they'd jump in front of my gun and get shot while I was shooting, and they'd get mad at me when they clearly saw me firing down range, and they jumped in front of my gun while I was firing. And they're like, "Why didn't you heal me?" I'm like, "Because I'm not a medic." And then they're like, "Your name though?" It's like, yeah, but yours is Ass Blaster 9000. I don't expect you to, you know, be blasting ass 9,000 times. Oh wow, he's dead. Yeah, getting swifty. Oh no. A hunchback. The Hoboken 5. Alright. Get 'em, boys! So I remember playing, like, Duke Nukem 3D, Doom. I remember playing Quake and Quake 2. Quake 2 Team 4 or Capture the Flag was my shit. I played that so much. so freaking much. Loved it. Well, let's see if I can strip his evasion with this kick. Kia! Yep, strip that evasion. I played a lot of the original Counter-Strike as well. I used to have a unlicensed mod for Quake 1 called Aliens Quake, which was a lot of fun. I played that with my friends. Alright, well. Yep, all the classics. I remember playing, oh my gosh. You know, pretty much, if it was out and about, I played it. I mean, there's some I didn't play, but there's a lot I played. That's bad. You know, I hated Quake 3. I didn't like the feel of it. It felt wrong. After playing Unreal Tournament, the original Unreal Tournament, like, I just couldn't get the feel. Like, Quake 3 just felt like a bunch of, like, fat bodies, is the best way to say it. Because in Unreal Tournament, you actually felt fast. It's kind of hard to explain. But I did a lot of crazy shit in Unreal Tournament. Like, I was young, and so I spent a lot of time in it. To the point, like, I was very good. I used to play the bots on Godlike, and I had to turn on Insta-Gib, which means one shot, if it touched you anywhere, it would automatically kill you. And I do that just for fast hit Twitch, you know, practice. If that gives you any clue of, like, how much BS I did. So needless to say, a lot of my friends weren't very happy about playing because, like, it usually was, like, 15 people against me. Just to make it somewhat fair, and I was still, like, dominating them. And now, some people are like, oh man, that's great to be that good. But all it got me was not invited to LAN parties anymore. So. It never failed that, oh my gosh, let me... There you go, let's do that. Fall back some. What are our hit chances? Alright, we're gonna have to hit the punch back. So, if I had a better internet and I was in a different place, I would have been a pro, like gamer in tournaments. Like, I had the skills, I had the capability. I was really, really good. Like, I always tell the story of when I played, like, Counter-Strike, because I would play with, like, 700-800 ping. If you, like, never played a game with playing, like, 700-800 ping, most people are like, this is literally unplayable. I didn't have option. That was the best ping I could get. There was no better ping options for me because I was on 56K in Alaska. So I dealt with it. And so what I ended up doing is I would just memorize how the game worked. Yeah, I am a PogChamp. Oh no. Oh, that Locust is fucked. Oh, I'm surprised he didn't shoot the AC-20. But yeah, so how you play with 700 ping is you memorize the map, and then you just kind of, after playing so many times, you kind of just know, uh, you just kind of know how the delay of your ping is. And so, like, having like 700 ping, it was about like a 2.5 second delay at least. And so, which is crazy. And so, like, how you'd play is you'd spawn, you're like, okay, I'm at this spot, which means that I am 2 seconds left, 2 seconds right, 4 seconds down the hallway, then 2.5 seconds to the right, crouch, wait 2 seconds, open fire, and I should have a kill. Yeah, MS wasn't even an option for, like, oh, nice. Oh, heck yeah. That was a good shot. Yeah, it was a bad bottleneck. Not only that, but, like, so my ISP kicked me every 6 hours. My DSL, and then I have to reconnect. Oh, that's, something's gonna blow up on that thing. So my 56K, I'd have to reconnect. And sometimes it'd be busy. And it wouldn't let me reconnect, especially when it was, like, prime time. That hurt my little child feelings so bad. Getting disconnected from, like, an MMO, like EverQuest or something like that, and then, like, it takes me 10 minutes to log back in because I'm having to redial up and everything, and then log back into the game and go through the patcher. Like, when I first got DSL, I had to completely relearn how to play every single game. Because I was so used to compensating with it. It was like... it was like Dune. You know, I'm used to fighting shield fights, not actual real-time battles. So, everything I did was really weird. And, like, I still remember my favorite... The best compliment I ever received ever playing is that, like, someone said, I have no fucking clue what you're gonna do from any second of any point in the game. And I was like, thank you. Because I would just do weird things. Like, I'd be running down a hall, then I'd crouch, jump, and then, like, turn around 3 or 4 times, and I ended up doing weird shit. Because, reasons. And it just made sense. And it always ended up working. Just being unpredictable with your insane ping is just so important as well. That's another thing, is, like, I had to be unpredictable because, like, I never knew when someone was shooting at me. Because usually if I found out, oh, someone's shooting at me, I'm already dead. So I learned to just be really wonky with what I'm doing. Can you actually fire him? No, I'll just brace. I actually lost a lot of LAN tournaments early on because I was so used to 56K that the real time was killing me. Which I think is just, it's hilarious to say. Now we're gonna move up here. Ooh, it connected. And the thing is no one ever, like, people wanted to accuse me of, like, hacking and shit and cheating, but it's like, I have 700 ping. I'm not top of the leaderboard killing people. Even if I was hacking, I'm still only being mid. It's like, what do I have to gain? It's like, if I was hacking, I would just be like middle of the board. Like, you can't even be like, oh, I can't even hold him. You know, I can't blame the guy. And I always felt that was kind of funny. Let's hop. Pew pew. Nice, one hit. Hester. Fine, we'll move up next to him, but we'll... Nice. Back shot. But once I did become accustomed to the higher speeds when I got DSL and stuff like that, man, I made a lot of people upset. Like, upset. I knew it was a good day when I was getting death threats. One of my favorite games to play back in the day was Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast, things like that. All the lightsaber combat and stuff. Man, early on, people would get really mad. But as I got older, I started playing different games, and I've been trying new stuff always. Yeah, exactly. Now I can just blame like, well, I'm old, I don't need to do all of that. I imagine I could still do just fine if I bothered to train. But honestly, I just don't have fun with most first-person shooters anymore. Like, I like the more realistic ones nowadays. If that makes sense. Yeah, Kyle Katarn was great. That was a big thing, is that, yeah, there comes a certain point when the sweat overcompensates the entertainment value. It was no longer, when your friends didn't want to play with you anymore, it's like, alright, great, I've gotten to this point where it's just, what's the point? Nobody's having fun. It's like, I was having fun, but for me to have fun, everyone else didn't have fun, so it's just like, cool. And so I actually don't really bother trying to like practice with games anymore. I think the last time I really got serious with games was World of Tanks, when I did it competitively. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoy World of Tanks. I like the camaraderie, and I loved just all the different games, you know, game modes with people. And met a lot of really great people there. I actually met some people who actually, like, that's like the first time I met, like, internet friends was through World of Tanks. They came on a trip to Alaska, and I basically chauffeured them around and showed them some cool shit. Yeah, I usually can't keep like, and that's nothing wrong. It's like I haven't really tried to want to keep up with the kids playing first-person shooter games. But if you piss me off, you can bet like I'll find a way to really get you mad. One of my friends back in the day when Rocket League was just coming out, he was doing that competitively. And so I'd play with him, and I'd get pulled into like matches way above my skill rating. And so I'd get these people who are like, "Oh my god, you're so trash. Oh, so garbage. Why are you even bothering to play?" And so then I would dedicate the rest of the match. I wouldn't touch the ball. I would just ram them. I'd ram them and blow them up. Every time I saw them, I just ram. That was the whole match. And I was like, it's like, yeah, oh, I suck so bad, I'm taking you out of the game from playing. You won't even touch the ball. Guess what? I'm good enough to hit you and find you and just torment you. Man, that guy avoided us for like the next week because we knew his name. And every time we'd see him, he'd disconnect. That's music to my heart. So, that is great respect. When people avoid playing games with you because they called you trash, and then you defeated them in a way that they don't expect. That's half the fun of online games for me. I don't have to be great at playing how the game should be. I can be insidious, and I can play the game in another way that you don't expect. And that's how I like to play games nowadays. That's how I like playing, like, versus games and stuff. I prefer to play insidious. I love single player games. Like, it's my bread and butter. That's why I play BattleTech. I wish I could play tabletop games with people, but I've spent my whole life pretty much playing single player games. You know, it's not till like recently that the last like 5 years that I've actually had a chance to play like legitimately non like multiplayer games like Space Station 13, Space Station 14. You don't win. You just, it's a story. You play. And that's been fantastic. I love that. That's more fun than a lot of things. A lot of times I just do my own crazy shit in SS14. You see me all the time in Texas videos. I'm just doing like random shit. You'll walk by and I'm like just being a janitor, or I'm shit scared, you know, shit curity, and just doing my own thing, and then yelling at people, and everything goes sideways, and I'm just like, well, shit's fucked. Has anyone come across any tabletop games with a decent fog of war rules? True Cicero, what do you mean? Thank you for the subscription, Wingless Raven. 40 months, my dude. Holy Shazbot. Holy Stuberber. Holy frickin' moly. That's great. 40 months. Oh gosh, what's happening? Blah 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 blah. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Okay, defeat the Lance. I can do that. I know there were a blind snoper every local corner, right? So, I have board games which I have never actually played, if that makes sense. Alright, move the galleon in there for a good look-ski. Why, hello everybody. True Cicero. So this is what I found. If you want to see great examples of how that works, how Fog of War works and everything like that, there's actually a YouTube channel which does tabletop gaming called Little Wars TV. Love their stuff. They're fantastic. They are in the Northwest area, New England. Bunch of cool guys. Very responsive. But I'll tell you how they handle Fog of War. You have a DM. You have someone who is a rules arbiter, who enforces the rules, and they ultimately control a lot of the variables. They're the ones who set up the match, the tabletop game. And they set up the scenario, and so that's how you can go into a game like that and play blind. There's really no other effective way to do it except that. I'll be 100% honest with you. But you can watch, they do some fucking amazing battles. Like from Napoleonic battles to just anything. Love their stuff. Oh, I'm not gonna waste ammo. But yeah, like I said, all their stuff is really fun, really good. If you want to see it in action, just go to their YouTube channel, watch their stuff. I would say watch some of their Napoleonic stuff, because that's my favorite time period, honestly. I am such a powder nerd. Yeah, to do good Fog of War, you need a DM. That's all there is to it. The DM there's like, you see things on the map, they know where everything's at, and then you make a lot of blind plans like that. Another one is they do a lot of like orders. So how it happens is, so say you're playing a Napoleonic battle, they will have the generals in different rooms, and you can only communicate through handwritten missives. And then that will determine, like, your orders for the next following round. So, like, the DM uncovers something and you're like, oh my god, that wasn't in my orders. You have to figure out what the hell you're going to do. There's so many great scenarios they have done, which, like, brings up Fog of War and just does great things. Like, I love that. That's so good. And the great thing is that a lot of times the DMs leave stuff up to chance. Like, not in a bad way, but like, they roll ahead of time. They're like, alright, everyone roll. They have like a set of possible situation. Oh, that really got hit hard. Scenarios that happen. So like, they're doing a historical scenario, but then there's that what if. It's like, well, what if Blücher came in, 2 hours beforehand? Then this would have changed the whole entire scenario. Well, they leave those what-ifs in the game. You could randomly roll for that what-if at the beginning of the match. And so that's kind of like one of the cool things the DM does. I don't like you, Wavered. Another game which does, in my opinion, who does Fog of War alright. Like, he does it better. There's a little game called Full Thrust, and there's a fan-done redoing of it called Full Thrust Cross Dimensions. You can Google it. It's free. It's all done by them, and it's a Starship game. And the premise is you can basically make your own Starfleet based off of a set of rules and whatnot. But what's cool is you can basically say, you can have Star Trek versus Star Wars or whatever in the vein of that fleet. How it works, though, is every turn you write your orders. So you're like, all right, my battleship is going to increase its speed, and it's going to it's going to turn right, right, right. Basically, to do a U-turn or whatever. It's going to go 4 time units forward, take a right turn, go 3 to the right, whatever. And it's all written out before the turn starts. And you look at the current map. So the other person doesn't know your orders. That way, you can't erase it. It's written down. The other person then goes, boom. Well, this is what's going to happen. And then everyone, you take turns moving your ships and everything like that. And then following your orders. And then you resolve your shots and everything like that. It's like, all right, well, this ship was going to fire at this one. So say you, you cripple a ship, and it is all beaten up and everything. You're like, well, I want to blow it up, and it's pretty badly hurt, but I also want to shoot at this other ship I think I'll be able to hit. So what I'll do is I'll fire, 6 shots from this gun at this crippled ship, and then 3 at this other one. Well, you find out that 1 shot would have killed it instead of 6. Well, you can't change that. You spent your turn and you fired 6 shots. So that's another thing of how writing down the turns and everything are really nice. I'll pop in the head, see what happens. Hit him in the head? Yes? No? No. I highly recommend that. Matter of fact, I have all the PDFs and everything. I even have an old Excel spreadsheet, so you can custom make your own ships on the Excel spreadsheet. I haven't tried to use it in years because I haven't played. But if you want them, you can hit me up on the Discord, and I will send those to you. You can even check Tabletop Simulator has full thrust cross dimension stats, so you can play it on Tabletop Simulator. Just FYI for those who are interested. It's there, so if you want to look at it and see what it's about, you can see, you can play with friends via Tabletop Simulator. Yeah, there's all sorts of cool ways to play, historical or even just any type of miniatures games. You can do a lot of cool shit. Most people don't, which makes me sad. Like I said, there's so much cool shit you can do. Do it. And like I said, Little Wars TV, I can't, if I had a gaming group, I would be there all the time because it's everything I ever wanted in tabletop. That's how good it is. Poor Stinger. And you can play BattleTech that way as well. Could you imagine playing tabletop BattleTech, where you had to write your orders at the beginning of the turn? Yeah, you take turns one at a time, but you're like, all right, I don't know where they're gonna move, and it would just be, it would change the whole dynamic of the game and make it it would make it a lot longer for one. That's not necessarily a good thing, but still, I mean, it is what it is. But it would be pretty interesting. Let you help get in the head of the enemy a lot more. So like another game I always wanted to do is I have board games like Samurai Swords, formerly sold as Shogun. So one thing I really enjoyed about that game is like I always wanted to play with a bunch of people where we role played our faction, and then we'd set up like we would have a starting province, and then like we would wheel and deal, make alliances, talk things through, and that would determine your starting provinces and kind of alliances with other factions. And once like after like a month long of this back and forth, that's when you divulge where everyone's set up in the game board through your wheeling and dealing. And it would just kind of be this cool little like RP thing and stuff. Ow, that's gonna hurt him. Which I always thought would be a lot of fun. No! 7 blue 7. Yeah. I have board games that I bought as a teenager I still have not played. I have Civilization, the board game. Haven't played it. I have Napoleon in Europe. I paid $200 for it because it was no longer in print 20 years ago. Kick him and blast him. Gosh, I'm looking. I have Axis and Allies, the original. I have Axis and Allies in Europe and Axis and Allies in the Pacific. I have the American Civil War, done by the same company which did Napoleon in Europe. I played like an hour of that, but there were some confusing things, and this was pre internet errata time that just didn't make sense, which you know, we didn't know how to adjudicate, and so we, after like an hour or so, we ended up not finishing that game. But the concept I just absolutely loved. Yeah, he blapped my god. I mean, it just also doesn't help that I'm just not in an area people play those type of board games, and it makes them sad. I have a bunch of other games which I've taught my kids, like, you know, and they enjoy. They're more like beer and pretzel type games, non-committal. They have short attention spans, so they couldn't spend all day playing games or have it. So we played a lot of like, you know, like Zombies, you know, Munchkin, Shaggy, Lunch Money, you know, games like that. Just, you know, it takes like 15-20 minutes. It can still be kind of challenging, but, you know, it is what it is. A lot of the games that get played now around my house are like Exploding Kittens, Trial by Trolley, Joking Hazard, Cards Against Humanity, stuff like that. You know, beer and pretzel type games, as I like to call them. Man, the first year I brought Trial by Trolley to the BPL meetup, I had lost my voice because we were yelling. It was a lot of fun, though. Yeah, we got our hover tank back. Yes. I also had a Warhammer Chaos Fantasy Army and a Chaos Orc Army because I wanted to play with people. So I figured, well, no one will play because they don't want to pay money for it, so I'll just buy 2 armies. Painted them up, got them all ready, and never really got to play. I played one game. I also had a Chaos Corn Army because I could transfer the demons at the time from Fantasy to 40k, and then when they changed that rule, I sold it, and I just gave away those two. They were like 5,000 point armies. Just gave them away. Made me sad. Like even now, I have like, I don't know, like $2,000 worth of battle tech, and I've only ever played like twice on tabletop. Yeah. So I'm really demotivated in painting, which makes me sad. Oh heck yeah, give me that. That piloting. Yeah, piloting. That hit defense is so good. Saber Wolf. He did it, you're a hero. Alright, well. Let's look at our mech bay. We have to fix some stuff. Repair. Repair. Let's ready that. Well, we might as well ready this as well. Should I bother readying it? Ugh. What other things can we get? Everything's expensive. That's right. Let's wait a couple days. Oh, poor 58 days. Ugh. Poor guy. Alright, how long do I have for this to be done? Yeah, Axis and Allies was another game that, like, so my brother was really into it, and I played with him from, like, age 2, no joke, all the way up to I was 15 was the last time we ever played, and I never won. I lost all the way up to when I was 15, and the last time I played, I beat him so resoundingly that he never played again. Another story of my life. I learned some great, like, so in Axis and Allies, depending on what happens and the moves that happen, you can end the game in one turn. And the way to do it, it's a risk, is if Russia plays defensive, Germany can dump its battleship, and you can move the sub to UK waters. You can dedicate one fighter to that fight. Then you put all your fighters and your bomber on UK. On that transport, you bring 2 infantry. Believe it or not, about 65 to 75% of the time, Germany wins that. Because the dice favor them. And you can end the game in one turn. Because there's just no way to get there. You just can't get anyone to get there to relieve it. Even if America has transport, because they have to buy a transport, then they have to load troops onto it, then they have to get it across to dump more troops there. Even Russia will have to then dump something, but then Germany can just literally go on the defensive and just dump everything into their their navy and block anyone from liberating it, and then boom, an Axis win by round 2. You ever seen grown men weep? Who like played Axis and Allies for years and years and years? That was another time I never got invited to another gaming group. Alright, now I can actually hire some freaking tank. Okay, there's Beefeater. Great. Okay, let's name these guys. So we got 2 names in there. Beefeater, customize. Let us see, who do we got here? So we have yeah, it puts the Blitz and Blitzkrieg. And the thing is like these guys had been playing Axis and Allies for 20 years. You know, and then this like you know, tired old soul welcome. Then it's like because they've been playing since the game came out way back when, and so this kid who's like 16 comes like, oh, I'll play too. I'll play Germany. And like, ha ha ha, yeah, Germany. You will do so great, I'm sure. And then I watch, you know, everything plays right, and I'm just like, oh, these guys are kind of dicks. So let's just end this game in one turn. So I do the old German blitz, and I ended up getting it, and then I have 1 infantry, you know, who took over the UK, and they just looked at me with like astonishment and just like, oh my gosh, why did we never think of that? And just like, oh, good game. They packed up their stuff and they left. Yeah. Well, I mean, they'd been playing like not like a single game for 20 years, obviously, but like, you know, they played a lot of Axis and Allies. But none of them had ever heard of that, and I pulled it on them, and they're just like, oh, no, good game. I'm like, yeah, no, it was fun. We should do it again. They're like, no, and they left. Oh yeah, this Tauren APC fucking rocks. I forgot that. Like, my life is how to lose friends and keep them lost. There you go. The Tauren APC is what I want. Yeah, stop that work. I don't need that guy. Well, an example is like Samurai Swords. If you have a good enough player group, that's a game that can go on for a month. Like, it can be brutal. Like, if you play it right, it's just constant back and forth. No training day. Gunslingers. Mother of God, why? Why are why are these all? Alright, I want the money. Super Megadeth, welcome and thanks. Yeah, I hope you have a great evening as well. If you're ever interested, there will be VODs for this and stuff. So, Saladin, do I have a Saladin anymore? Is that thing gone? I think that's gone. Yeah, the Saladin is toasted. Well, Zaxxas is getting that hover tank. I guess Wheel is going in the Tauren APC. Digiman is going to go as a Beatle armor. And Arachimia is going in Beatle armor. And we will deploy. Now, I'm just saying, of all the times I've won at games, I've gotten waffle stomped so many times. And I legitimately enjoy losing games because it means I still have something that's left to learn. And a lot of times, I just like having fun. I like the bullshit that can happen. I like breaking the game. I like seeing how interesting ways to break the game. Man, some of the crazy builds we did in 3.5 D&D, where we purposely tried to break the game. The interesting solutions we had to causing mini nukes. Erdania, okay, we have a good one as well. We will be here. Yeah, all the very interesting things. I remember one of my favorite moments is my character was on guard duty, and yeah, well, it's Thursday for you now, not me. My character was on guard duty, and at this point, we were in some dungeon, and this little nebulously evil undead about the size of I don't know, an appendix. It came out and it started monologuing at me. And it said, "I will eat your souls, blah blah blah." And I'm like, oh, it's evil. It's undead. And I looked at the DM, and mid monologuing, I pull out my, because I had an entire flask of holy water, and I pull out my holy water, I pull out the stopper, and I hose him down. And we end up, rolling the damage, basically, because we calculated how much water is getting squirted out of this fucking, because it's 3 gallons is what this thing held. Because our characters always dealt with, a lot of vampires, so we would always go to the temple, and we'd fill up our wineskins with holy water. So I hosed this little thing down, and it was so small, it couldn't get out of the puddle of holy water, so it basically just bubbled alive right there. And no one else even woke up from guard duty. And I didn't say anything, because I just looked at him, and I just hosed him down, and he took something 20d4 points of holy water damage in one turn, and he was gone, he was dead. And the DM, he was just I had all this stuff planned, and this is not how I wanted this to go. He was laughing the whole time. He's like, I think it's hilarious, and I think it was funny that it happened, but yeah, he's like, all right, the rest of the night's pretty uneventful. He's like, do you tell anybody? I'm like, no. Is there anything left to even tell? I mean, it's just a puddle of goo. All they know is I sprayed some water on the floor. A Jenner. Go reserve. So our D&D group was notorious for blowing up every town or city we'd ever been in by some sort of horror of misfortune or curse. We blamed it on a curse, but we inevitably found a way. One, we burned down the equivalent of the Library of Alexandria because we were trying to steal a book, because that was one of our main missions, and we needed a distraction. So I was basically sending if you've ever watched Critters, those creatures, I was basically sending up dozens upon dozens of those, well, thousands of those from the sewer up the pipes and into the library, and all the wizards were freaking out and getting mowed down, and so they started blasting fireballs, and the whole fucking place burned down. But we got the book. Uh, then we escaped that place. We escaped that place, and we stop a big giant. It's like a giant rock pit, which they were doing a big giant evil ritual, and we wanted to stop that. So we ended up causing a massive explosion and caused the entire mountainside to crash in there, and it pretty much killed everybody, even the sacrifices and stuff. But our bad. We didn't really have much of a choice. They were near to completion, and I didn't really see any other way. So we blew up the giant rock pit, and then we blew up the town nearby because it was full of undead. The undead were all stored in barrels, but they were barrels of wine, or not wine, but alcohol, to basically help to hide them and prevent them from rotting and stuff. Is essentially what it came out to. So, needless to say, when we wanted to kill all the undead, we set fire to them. And what ended up happening? Well, casks go boom boom when you set fire to them, evidently. I mean, who knew? Who knew? No one could have predicted this outcome. And so we were left with no other recourse but to blame someone else for it. But yeah, the undead problem was solved by us. Ooh, heck yeah. Pop that hornet. Gosh. So, after that, we get back to the main city, and this has been 4 years of walking, so we basically walked from the equivalent of Europe to all the way to Japan, all the way to Africa, and back to Europe again. So it was a long ways we traveled. Many years of foot walking and other things. So we get back to the capital city. A lot of bad stuff has happened, but we essentially had a curse on us from we had basically a piece of a greater demon. And the curse was basically just, if you know about this item, he's going to find you and kill you, is essentially how it goes. Well, when we got back to the city, it reacted badly to some of the protections in the city, and it basically caused everything in the city to destabilize, in the sense that imagine if all the ground went to liquefaction, so people were stuck in the floor, buildings sunk a foot, just all sorts of crazy dilation, that the whole city kind of just sunk and heaved into the ground with people. So a lot of people died. So naturally, we did what any self-respecting adventurers would do. We cut our losses and run, and didn't take any of the blame. We didn't try and solve it because it already happened. There's just nothing more we're gonna do. So we leave the city, and we eventually get to another group which we had some friends in. Now they're all paladin type people and stuff, so they're very highly religious and stuff. And we brought them bad news that basically their entire order was being infiltrated by evil people, basically being brainwashed. And so that kicked off a giant holy war. But we had to explain how we got all this information. It's from the stolen books, and we had to explain through the ability of not being able to lie to them. They found out all the bad stuff we did. I'm in Alaska. It's a 4-hour time difference from the East Coast. 4 hours, so it's only 8:20 here. So yeah, so the paladins were all like, "Oh man, you're so bad. We're gonna put you in prison." So prison was... It was a giant crater, like the size of... I don't know. It was huge. It was like the... it was a crater like the size of one of the Great Lakes. Maybe I'm exaggerating. It was huge. But the property of the sand in this giant desert was it's anti-magic. So we couldn't cast any spells. Thus, we couldn't escape. And we couldn't blow it up. We couldn't do all this. They stripped all our stuff, and so we were in prison. And us being us, didn't like that. So what we ended up doing was, we tested the limits of this prison and found some things. But we found that if you dug down deep enough, eventually you could escape the anti-magic properties. And there was giant scorpions in the desert, and they made like tunnels and nests. And these scorpions were big. Like, they weren't like little ones. They went all the way like colossal size, and they were like hive. So they were nasty scorpions. So we were in the hive, trying to figure out what we wanted to do, and meandered there for a while. Yeah, it was anti-magic pocket sand. And so we were gonna have this big throwdown with them, and so we had a druid, and the druid's all like, oh, I can stone shape into these walls, and we can do cool stuff. We're like, oh, that's cool. And then one of the monks is like, hey, what about these secretions on the walls from these scorpions? He's like, well, what about them? He's like, well, are they flammable? So at this point, you can kind of guess where I'm going with this. It turns out not only they were extremely flammable, they were also everything connecting this giant tunnel network together. So what happened is the desert blew up, and it glassed all that sand. So there's a desert full of glass canyons now. Anti-magic glass canyons. Not over the glass, but on the edges. So, we found that we could jump off the canyon, cast fly up to a certain degree, and then fall when the anti-magic hit and land on the other side. That's how we got across those canyons. Well, we had one character who fell. And the character was being... And this is kind of like where we stopped letting like people drop in and play. Because kind of the rule was, if you don't show up, someone was going to play your character. And sometimes we'd let like one of our friends, who hung out with us, jump in and like, oh, you can play this character. You can just make the combat decisions. Well, basically they were falling, and DM's like, well, what do you do? He's like, well, I don't want because we're too heavy, I'll make the decision to let go. So he does, and that character ends up dying. Because you take the fall damage, then you slam into the side of a glass cliff face, and then you start sliding down the glass cliff face that's full of shards of broken glass. That's also in a desert, so it's hot. It's very hot, broken glass. So, needless to say, he died before he hit the bottom, even though we were like 16th level at the time. Right around there, something like that. Yeah, he died. That was interesting. So that was another place we blew up. On many lists of shit we blew up. It was always a joke. It's like, well, the adventure can't be over. This place hasn't blown up yet. Don't do it. Okay, you can hit that turret. Yeah, that character... became very broken. I played that character for probably about 12 years, and we went all the way through the epic level handbook and everything. We started at first level, and I took that character to 40th level. But I had a bunch of templates stacked on me because I wasn't human. I was playing like an orc variant. In that world, orcs are dragon-blooded. And specifically the type of orc I was, and I didn't know when I first started playing the character. I didn't plan for this. It's just that's how the game fell. The character was dragon and giant descended, so eventually he got big. And so we started stacking templates on it. Yeah. We have done that a few... Oh gosh. There was also the time, like, one of the... we entered... someone new started playing, and they're like, well, you're not part of the team until you blow something up. We always joked about, and we've been joking about this all the time. And we were like 22nd level at this point. And so the character was basically looking into like an old abandoned starship. We didn't know it was a starship at the time, but like that's how it was. And so he was casting through a chunk of a god because there's a bad guy and we wanted him very dead. So I'm like, and we're just like, yeah, do it, whatever, you know. What's the worst that could happen? So he rolls his attack. He casts Polar Ray, maximized, which is a 9th level ray spell, which does like 40 die 6, and a bunch of other crazy shit. And it's maximized. Well, here's what happened. He rolled a 1 on his attack roll. He rolled a 1. Casting through a chunk of a god, so it amplified it. Well, what happens when you aim at a god and you miss him when he's inside a starship? Well, it hit the antimatter core of the starship. So this god-enhanced beam of ice set off an antimatter bomb, essentially. And we were like probably like 1,500 miles away because we're doing this all remotely. Because he was doing this through like scrying and all that other stuff, and that's where we got the idea to use it. It's like, here, just cast this, use the ray, because the ray can go through the scrying. Because we just want to kill this asshole before we have to deal with him in person and stuff like that. So we had a vague idea that this was going to be big. And so we were trying to evacuate the entire city underground, which was, thankfully, the fortress I had was mostly built on the side of a mountain. But yeah, a lot of people got vaporized. And we had even players who got, like, basically, even though it was 1,500 miles, like, got flash burned. So that was interesting. But then we were all cheering because we're like, you're part of the team, you blew something up! And he's like, yay! Should I be happy? And we're like, yeah, we're all still alive. I mean, that chunk of the continent's pretty fucked, but we're still alive. And when people ask, well, whose problem is that now? Like, well, it's not ours. It's the gods' problem. They're dicks anyway. So our team was not liked by the gods. We eventually became god hunters, essentially what they called us, for reasons. There was a time we total party wiped that same group. We survived it through... What does a god need with a starship? So, there are gods, and then there's pieces of gods. In this world, kind of, like, I'm still kind of tangentially playing it, but essentially what it was, it's a fraction of a god who is trying to... He's not, like, full deity powerful, but he's still very strong. Oh, yeah, quote from Star Wars. But yeah, basically, he was going to use it for... He was using it to query to get answers about stuff, basically, is essentially what he was doing. Using the... Because they called it... Basically, everyone worshipped it as an oracle, because it could process stuff. Oh, oracle, tell us when the famine will come, blah, blah, blah. And it would do, you know, meteorology stuff. Like, oh, well, you know, but it took on the personality of a priest, and so it'd be all holy, so. Yeah, all we knew is that we didn't want him there. I don't even remember who the hell he was. That's how long ago it was now. This is, you know, like 20 years ago. There's so much crazy shit we did in that game. Yeah, that character, though, like I said, he was basically, with the templates I had, he was basically a giant with the... One second here. I did a bunch of crazy shit, and I became, in the Epic Level Handbook, a perfect version of my species, and it's called a Paragon. And it adds some crazy shit to your character, to the aforementioned affected creature. Essentially, a Paragon gets a plus 20 bonus to everything. Plus 20 bonus to all stats, plus 20 bonus to all saves, plus 20 bonus to all skill checks, all, you know, armor class, damage bonus, just pretty much everything. They are the perfect embodiment of their race, so... all your hit die are maximized, and your hit die are also changed to D12. I'm going off my memory. It's been a while, but yeah. So the character was already an absolute brute, and when I stacked that on it, it was like the character is strong enough to, at least in 3.5 rules, I could one-handedly grab a Baylor and strangle it to death. And it couldn't do anything. Like, even if I rolled a 1, I'd have to roll a subsequent additional 1, and it would have to roll a natural 20 to oppose me. That's how likely it was to win. So I could just strangle a Baylor one-handed to death, and it couldn't do anything. I actually have the stat block next to me still. Might as well fire. It's not like I'm gonna hit anything. And I did most of this without a whole lot, like... I didn't get a magic great... Because I used a greatsword. I didn't get a magic greatsword until I killed a Baylor when I was like 17th level. And I got a +1 greatsword. There's reasons. It's hard to, like... We had other stuff, but, like... Never things that I wanted. And it never failed, like, if we made something, it eventually get blown up and stuff like that, so... But the story and the shenanigans we had were a lot of fun. And that's what kept us coming. Going back. Right. Yeah, take the risk. I don't expect him to hit. But that character, I basically had built him to where, I mean, at 40th level, with my hit die maxed and my constitution was just it's in the 40s, I had like 1600 and something HP. Which is a lot. And the feats I took and everything was designed to basically promote attack, take advantage of attacks of opportunity was the build. Oh, that hurt. And there's a lot of really cool feats and stuff, feat chains in 3.5. But one of my favorites that I ended up using was, which was key to one of the things, was Roballer's Gambit. Roballer's Gambit, what it allows you to do is you take a -4 to your armor class, but every attack against you provokes an attack of opportunity. Well, being 40 levels and primarily fighter, you have a lot of feats. And I had a whole, like, feat chain, which basically, effectively, I could full attack option with every attack of opportunity. So, you'd attack me once and I got to attack you 4 times. Not only that, but every hit was a free trip attempt, followed by large and in charge. Since I was big, large size category, I could push you out of my, push you to the maximum extent of my reach. And since I was huge at that point, I pushed you basically 15 feet away from you. You were knocked prone, and you never even, like, most people were medium size. What do you do? Digiman. The highest level I ever got was a 20th level in Pathfinder. She was 2 third-party classes, and due to a combination of tricks, she tanked for the rest of the party just by absorbing damage for the rest of the party, getting a bunch of temp HP, and then attenuating damage away before it became real damage. Fun fact, I could not play her again if I wanted to because of all the tricks used have been nerfed. Yeah. The thing is that none of what I did was nerfed because it was so highly specialized. You had to be a monster. You had to be large size to get half of that. You had to be epic level. You know, just stuff like that. So it was really fun having 1600 hit points because I never got hit. Because someone would charge in, and going through a threatened space provokes an attack of opportunity. So what ends up happening is you get an attack of opportunity, then you get knocked, then I hit you, because I have a very high to hit, and then I make a free trip attempt. And since I'm bigger, I get massive bonuses to tripping you. And I'm stronger. Because the character has like a 54 strength before applying magic items or something like that. You know, at this point, you're essentially a god. A demigod is essentially what I was. But yeah, I'd hit them, knock them prone, and they'd be 15 feet away prone, and standing up causes an attack of opportunity, which means then I attack you 4 times, Each one I do over 10 points of damage, I get a free trip attempt to knock you prone again. It was very disgusting. And crawling away provokes an attack of opportunity. And then you're like, oh yeah, well, magic would work against him. Well, I also had an, I think my magic resist at that point was something like 90. I wasn't immune to magic, but like, good luck getting through that. And even if you did, you still had to do a lot of, I could tank most of it. Yeah, dying, that'll provoke an attack of opportunity. Blah, 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 something, something. So essentially now, like, the character, I haven't been playing it, but what I've been doing is I'm performing a massive ritual to basically stop the War of the Gods. Wingless Raven. I had a drow fighter who was cursed to be half demon. Then in order to cure himself of it, he took levels in Dragon Disciple. Nice. At level 10 of that, you become a half dragon. Yep. The DM rolled to see which half was lost. I lost the drow half, so the character was half dragon, half demon. We stopped playing when the character was level 32. Nice. Same world, different character. I played when the Warlock first came out in 3.0 is very different. Oh my god, it's so different than the 5e Warlock. You don't even know how different it was. For those who don't, let me give you the differences. The Warlock in 3.5, you basically got a free, your Eldritch Blast was 1d6 for every 2 levels of Warlock you were. And you could do that every single turn. You could take abilities to turn it into a cone. You could turn it into a blast effect, like a fireball. But you could do it every single turn. So my go-to with that character was I would Eldritch Blast. I would make it sonic damage, and it would have the effect of being nauseated. Show them the fires of Zorg and let them burn. 38 months for Atamu. 38 months, man. Thank you. But yeah, that was a fun character. Being a 20th level Warlock, I think one of the epic abilities with that character, because I got him to like level 27-ish, was he could do 2 Eldritch Blasts a turn. So every turn, I was doing something like, I'd spray a cone of Eldritch Acid and Sonic damage that would nauseate anyone who wasn't immune. And it was just a cone. And it was disgusting. It was great. Just melt whole cities, just blah. The DM's like, there's this wall here, what do you do? I'm like, well, I guess I Eldritch Blast it until we have a hole. And I had the stats down for, like, the hardness of stone and stuff, and how many turns it would, like... So we're blasting through, with this acid, we're blasting through, like, 5 feet of rock every 10 minutes or whatever. And so I'm like, well, I'm undead, so I got time. I'll take a week and I'll blast this wall or whatever. Yeah, that character ended up being a lich. Not your standard evil, like atypical lich, but a different type of lich, which was fun. There was different type. That type of lich was created via like alchemical means, is what we worked on. So it wasn't like an evil magical lich. Yeah, that character was literally I just started blasting. Actually, the character I had before it, because at this point, like, we'd been playing for so long, like, guns were becoming pretty regular, and people wanted to play gunfighter classes and stuff like that. So, at that point, like, one of the characters I had, who was a dwarf, he basically had a pair of like desert eagles, which he like blasts people with. Yeah, my party was very much on page with me being a lich. And the way I play undead, you know, it's like I was of the opinion that most undead are evil and, you know, they do crazy shit because they're from a different time. And so I was of the opinion that if the undead spent his time with the living, it would keep him grounded. And so that's what he would do. He'd hang out with the living, and he's highly charismatic, and he had a lot of fun, and he helped people and stuff. And so, oh no, Balderdash. Oh no, Magistrix, Ripperoni. Yeah, that character eventually turned into a demi-lich through a lot of extra work. And a lot of the reasons why we do those things, like the DM allowed that type of stuff, is because, well, there wasn't any of that in the world. So it's actually kind of cool to have that be a player, and you can kind of set the tone for that type of, you know, the flair for in that world. And that's cool. And you can kind of help dictate of where the world is going. You know, it's like that character I wanted to like be essentially a quest giver at some point, because he wanted to, like, you know, help first level adventurers because he thought that was funny. And eventually he lived long enough to have his own TV show, which I thought was absolutely fun and hilarious. Yeah, he didn't like. For the most part, he was very nice. Like, it's kind of hard to not to be nice. Like when someone's like, "Well, I have a 56 charisma," so this lich comes up to you and he gives you finger guns and he goes, "Hey, how you doing?" You feel really good about yourself. Exactly. It's like, yeah, I have all sorts of cool stories to tell. You want to hear about that? And I would do that, and I'd do fun stuff like, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. He was a dick. And I would tell, like, people who were... I would tell, from my character's perspective, about other people's characters who played in the game. So an example is like, one of my friends, he played another character in another campaign, which my character had met at some point, but he was playing a new character who had to find out questions about that character, and so my character basically got to talk about his other character to his character, And basically, I just trash talked his old character. He's like, oh man, he was such an asshole. He did all that. He's like, oh man, yeah, fuck that guy. And out of character, he's like, yeah, fuck you too. And we'd have a good laugh. Because it's funny. It's like, but I mean, that's really my character's perspective. He's like, yeah, I know, I was, but like, it's just, it's fun. Reminiscing about old D&D stuff. So I started blasting. Ooh, nice. Laser hit him. Yeah, sometimes it's, like those games, once they get epic, they can just get crazy and get out of hand. Because sometimes it's really hard to like, because it's like you're always dealing with fate of the world stuff because you're a world-ending threat, and now you're trying to stop other world-ending threats. I think one of the main reasons we played so long is because I never really felt like we got a proper ending. And so we kept playing. And it's not like we weren't having fun, but like... I am now of the firm opinion that there's a time and place that every character should have an ending. And you should work well with your DM to get that end. And that's not a bad thing. Having your character, like, retire or die or something, it's like, it's not the end. Especially if you're playing in a world where you have multiple characters and multiple campaigns. It's okay. It's okay to have a cool death. It's okay to die and, you know, like, yeah, it can suck sometimes, but really, it's like, so what? That's the story. You know, that's one of the reasons why we play BattleTech. We play because it's fun, but also when that fucking Irby headshots that blood asp and kills him for a clutch win, that makes the game. Just like in D&D when you roll the natural 20 and, you know, you get that clutch win when you should have lost. It's great. You feel great. That's why you play games. That's why I play them. Winning's fun, but those moments are so much better. At least in my opinion. It's one of the big reasons why I stopped, like, tryharding. But I'll kind of let people know is that if they want to try hard, I can try hard. I can grind with the best of them, and I can make something really fucking broken and to counter your bullshit and make it not fun. Yeah, I'm looking at 2 ways my character could go out in a blazing point-blank melee or as a professor retired from duty, teaching folk about history and how not to fuck up the same way he did. Exactly, yeah. We had one character who basically made his own, he was a monk, and he made his own martial arts style. Like, basically his feet chain and all that stuff, he was, you know, it was an in-world fighting style. It's like if you take these feats and whatnot and go up this progression, you're of this fighting style. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. That's so cool. I should have been going up this way a long time ago. I mean, it was also really nice that when your characters like help shape history of the world. That's fun. Did he have his own martial arts dojo? Yeah, he did. He had his own dojo and everything. Matter of fact, one of my characters was his student, but I was a poor student. The character who was a giant and half dragon was one of his first students, but I failed, at least early on. I did eventually take improved unarmed strike, and I took basically deflect everything feat, which means I could deflect any oncoming range attack. So that includes bullets, cannonballs, beams, like rays and stuff like that. And if you're fast enough, lasers and shit like that. So hell yeah, I took that. Because the character had been shot in the head by like equivalent of like a 50 caliber Browning, but unbeknownst to them, my character is very hard-headed, so the shot deflected. And that was was specifically a racial trait before like even we ever got to guns or anything like that, because we traveled in the future at some point, and when we got to guns, yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, I remember how my you'd once casually mentioned that the skull of these creatures could deflect even 50 caliber shells. Like, yeah, I remember. They didn't know because they'd never encountered my species, so. Certainly rung the character's bell. Man, we took a lot of casualties this night. Ugh. Yep, Magistrix is killed in action. Well, we got a chunk of an enforcer. Well, we'll be able to scrap the galleon. We'll have to scrape what's left of Magistrix out of it. Ugh. We'll have to get the hose, sir. You're not wrong. Oh no. Well, the galleon could not be recovered. Crap. Hallow, well, he's gonna get side slip for sure. Gotta get that hit defense. Yeah, side slip's just way too important to not have for tanks. So what is he? Look at that. I think I want that. Angled armor. Saber. Sure, movement's good. Actually, no, you know what? I need a sensor locker. Command. Alright, let's look at the store. Can't get horse squat. What can I sell? Well, we can pull out the ballista. I don't think I have enough people, though. Alright, well, on this note, I'm going to call it here. We have taken some casualties, but we're going to poke around some more in the Terran hegemony and try and get some more stuff. Was it? I guess I'm glad that my fighter went from a washed-out, angry city guard to a freeholder blacksmith who helped found a town and now got a cute half-elf assistant to their dragon boss. Nice. The town is now the hub for the new group of adventurers, my DM's kids and her friends. One of the kids' characters is a great-great-grandfather of a granddaughter to my character, and she even has my old sword. That's amazing. I love that. I love characters with legacies. That is awesome. Remember, everyone, have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and stay cool or warm, depending on your environment. Dry or moist. Preferably not moister than an oyster. And remember, good night. And sleep well.